And welcome back to another podcast with Mr. Hagan, and we're going to continue in this podcast talking about price ceilings and price floors, and we defined these on a previous podcast. Price control is government-mandated prices, and they typically come in the form of price ceilings, a maximum price set by law, or price floors, a minimum price set by law. Now, here's the general results of that, which is what we want to think about as economists. The general results of that would be that price controls result in non-price competition to ration resources. So one of the fundamental things that prices do is they determine who's going to get resources, how resources are going to be rationed. And if you pass a price control, that's going to interfere with that process, and we're going to end up with non-price competition. So we want to talk about on the next couple videos what that looks like in practice. So let's take a look at what it looks like. To do that, we first need to draw a graph. So here we would have the graph of some good. Doesn't matter what exactly the good is. So we could have some good X. There's the quantity of X. On the vertical axis, we have some good Y, X, and there's the price of X. And currently, there's an equilibrium price of P1 and an equilibrium quantity of Q1. And that's what will happen in the market if the government does not interfere. But if the government, let's say, decides to pass a price ceiling, remember what that was, a price ceiling. A price ceiling was a maximum price set by law. Now, I have it drawn here as a solid line because that solid line is indicating that this is government law. This is a mandate. This is not a market generated price. The market generated price for the good would be right here at P1. But the government's saying you cannot charge above PC, above this price ceiling, and that's a law, that's a mandate. And they might say this because they might think that the good is too expensive. Maybe the good is some sort of necessity, what the government thinks to be a necessity. Maybe it's food or something like this. And the government's going to say, we're going to put a price ceiling on you. You just can't charge higher than this price. Families just can't afford it. And maybe that's true. And some families will now get to buy food at a lower price at this price ceiling. Okay, but there's going to be other problems that are going to result from this. So price of the good is whatever, P1 in the market, but the government says no, you can't charge higher than PC, can't charge higher than that price. And so what's going to happen as a result? Well, we come across on the horizontal line to the demand curve and we say here's going to be the new quantity demanded. You see, when the price goes down, consumers are going to move along the demand curve and they're going to want to buy more of the good. So now you're going to have this higher quantity demanded. More consumers are going to want to buy more of whatever this good is. And then on the other side, if the prices are held low, then that means we're going to come this way on the supply curve. That is to say that suppliers are going to stop bringing as much of the good to market. Some companies are going to say, well, at that lower price, it's just not worth producing and selling the good anymore. So, maybe the good used to be, the market price was $10 for the good, and now you can only charge $7. So some companies just say, all right, well, we're just not going to do it anymore for that price. It's not worth it. So when you have a price ceiling, when the price is held artificially low, that's going to cause the quantity demanded to go up. Consumers want to buy more of the good, and it's going to cause the quantity supplied to go down because producers aren't going to bring as much of the good to market. This creates a shortage, and we talked about that on a previous video. It's going to create a shortage where the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. Now, normally, as we talked about in that previous video, if there's a shortage, that's going to cause the price to get bid up. The price is going to get bid up. But here's the problem. The price can't get bid up. Okay, it's set here by law. So the price is trying to go, it's trying to bid up. Consumers are trying to bid up the price, but they can't. They keep banging into this price ceiling right here. Price cannot go above that. So here's the problem. The shortage is now going to be permanent. It's going to be a permanent shortage. It is not going to go away because the quantity demanded will always be higher than the quantity supplied at that higher price. So we can say this. We can say that the results are that whenever you pass a price ceiling, a price below the equilibrium price, the results will be that it will create a shortage in the market. And now we're going to have some non-price rationing. See, normally the way we decide who gets the limited amount of this good is whomever is willing to pay the highest price. But now that's no longer the case. Now consumers can't bid up the price to get the limited amount of the good. So price can no longer be the rationing agent. Something else is going to have to decide who is going to get the good. And we will talk about that on a future podcast. What exactly does that look like if consumers can't bid up the price to determine who gets the good? So I've kind of said that in an abstract way. We'll give some concrete examples on future podcasts. This has been Mr. Hagan. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next podcast.